And 2 minutes into the game, Brittany Griner has two of the worst, dumbest fouls I've ever seen in basketball.
Caitlin Clark just blew the lid off a scandal that could shake the WNBA to its core. And Brittany Griner is right at the center.
Also, I feel like we're just scratching the surface. Like, everybody asked me, like, where I think this is gonna go and what it's gonna be. And, like, I don't really have an answer, because if you would have told people this is where the WNBA is, 5 years ago, you would have said this is where we're gonna be now. People probably wouldn't have believed.
But this isn't just about fouls or trash talk. There's a deeper, more dangerous story unfolding behind the scenes. And I've got every detail the league doesn't want you to hear.
Upward trending trajectory. It's improving, and she has everything to do with it. Attendance for Indiana Fever games? Are you kidding me?
The WNBA, as we know it, has always tried to project an image of fairness, equality, and integrity. But what if that image was built on a house of lies? What if behind those polished smiles and high-flying dunks, there's a secret world of power, privilege, and protection for a select few?
WNBA draft, games on ABC, ESPN, television ratings. She's directly responsible.
Caitlin Clark, the WNBA's new golden child, has just pulled back the curtain, and what she's revealing could change the way we look at the league forever. For years, whispers have circulated around the WNBA about players who seem to have an invisible shield protecting them. The stars who can elbow, shove, and jaw without fear, while rookies get whistled for the slightest sideways glance.
And 2 minutes into the game, Brittany Griner has two of the worst, dumbest fouls I've ever seen in basketball.
It's a system that favors the veterans, the marketable names, the ones who bring in the big bucks and pack the arenas. Caitlin Clark, the fresh face of the future, was supposed to play along. Smile for the cameras, sell tickets, and stay quiet.
For the ticky-tack fouls that we were talking about earlier today.
But Clark couldn't ignore what she was seeing. She started noticing something that didn't sit right with her. Certain players, especially veterans like Brittany Griner, seemed to get away with murder on the court. The league, as if under some unspoken agreement, wasn't calling them out. It wasn't just the rough fouls or the borderline hits. It was the way the refs would turn a blind eye, allowing Griner and others to get away with behavior that would have seen any rookie benched or fined.
Brittany Griner was in a Russian prison. You would think that somebody who is now free, back in America on home soil, would not have too much to complain about.
Clark noticed this pattern early on and began to question why this was happening. Why were these players getting a free pass while others were being held to a completely different standard? The more Clark looked, the more the pieces began to fit into place. And what she uncovered was more than just dirty play on the court. It was a deep-rooted issue of favoritism, one that could make or break careers. And Brittany Griner was right at the top of that list.
Watch what she says. The entire internet has reacted to this. Here's Brittany Griner. They're playing against the Indiana Fever, and look what she's saying. Go ahead, Rob.
This all came to a head in one fateful moment, a moment that would not only make headlines, but spark an entire social media storm. It was a game where Brittany Griner fouled out against Caitlin Clark, and in the heat of the moment, Griner allegedly dropped the words, "effing white girl," right into the cameras.
For the ticky-tack fouls that we were talking about earlier today.
That pretty much sounds like trash effing white girl.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just be honest.
So the whole market reacts to this with Brittany.
The internet went wild. Fans, analysts, and social media users alike went into forensic mode, analyzing the footage frame by frame, trying to decipher every subtle detail. Lip readers jumped in, offering their own interpretations, and soon enough, the hashtag effing white girl was trending.
You said you didn't remember what you said during that viral moment after you fouled out against the Indiana Fever. A lot of people believe what you said was effing white girl or effing white girls. Is it possible that's what you said?
No, would never say that.
What followed was a tidal wave of outrage. If Caitlin Clark had been the one to make such a comment, her career would have been over in an instant. She would have been fined, suspended, and probably dragged through the mud by the media. But when Griner said it, nothing. Not even a statement from the league. No fine, no suspension, just silence.
Like, there's no place for that in our league. Wouldn't say that.
So even though you can't remember, you know that was not what you
said. I know
said.
it wasn't that because I wouldn't use that type of language.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This wasn't some private spat between two players. It was a public, broadcasted moment, replayed over and over again for millions to see. And yet, the WNBA said nothing. The silence was deafening. Fans and critics alike began to question the league's integrity. How could they let this slide? How could they let one of their stars get away with something so blatant while others would face severe consequences for far less?
There's this commotion, like this loud rumbling from the stands. Turns out it's people, thousands of them, just sitting there watching on purpose. It's very disruptive. She says WNBA games used to be a chill, quiet place. You could bring your laptop and relax, maybe even get a little work done.
The internet went wild. Fans, analysts, and social media users alike went into forensic mode, analyzing the footage frame by frame, trying to decipher every subtle detail. Lip readers jumped in, offering their own interpretations, and soon enough, the hashtag effing white girl was trending. What followed was a tidal wave of outrage.
But now, it's like there's large gatherings of people watching us from the stands. Some of them are yelling crazy shit about what they're seeing, putting unfair pressure on us to score, like we're there for their entertainment. You are! The whole thing is toxic. I saw a guy with his daughter in the crowd, both of them yelling, couldn't hear what they were saying exactly, but it was either my performance or some light racism.
Some people started to speculate that Griner's position in the WNBA wasn't just the result of her talent, it was the result of her connections. Could it be that Griner's ties to politics, her high-profile release, and her global visibility gave her a certain level of protection in the league? Was she too valuable to the WNBA's brand to face real consequences? Caitlin Clark, ever the investigator, began digging deeper. Sources close to her say she uncovered information suggesting that Griner's status within the WNBA may not just be due to her athletic ability, but also to her political ties. The whispers grew louder, and Clark couldn't ignore them. She started asking questions, raising concerns about the league's favoritism toward players with political clout. As Clark dug deeper, she uncovered more troubling information. What she found went beyond just rumors. Sources close to the league say that Griner wasn't the only player benefiting from this kind of protection. Other high-profile stars, some with strong political connections, had also received special treatment from the league.
I think patience-wise, I'm not a very patient person, and I think that's kind of going back to the previous question. I think that's what's kind of been a little bit more frustrating for myself.
Clark's investigation revealed a troubling pattern of selective rule enforcement. Some players were allowed to break eligibility rules, violate conduct codes, and make unsportsmanlike comments without any real consequences. Meanwhile, rookies and lesser-known players were held to a completely different standard, often facing harsh penalties for minor infractions. And when Clark tried to bring these findings to the league executives, silence. No one wanted to talk about it. No one wanted to acknowledge the growing problem. Instead, the league seemed to sweep it under the rug, hoping that it would all go away. But Clark wasn't backing down. She wasn't going to let this go unnoticed. As the weeks went by, the tension between Clark and Griner grew. What started as a disagreement on the court had now turned into a full-blown investigation into the very heart of the WNBA. And the deeper Clark dug, the more evidence she uncovered. The league's favoritism towards certain players wasn't just a rumor, it was a fact. And it was a fact that the WNBA didn't want anyone to know. As the story began to unfold, the public took notice. Fans, analysts, and social media users started questioning the league's integrity. How could they allow this kind of behavior to continue? How could they let one player, one star, get away with everything while others faced punishment for far less? The backlash was swift and intense. On social media, people were divided. Some fans rallied behind Clark, accusing the league of racism and corruption. Others sided with Griner, claiming that Clark was just trying to stir up drama. But the one thing everyone agreed on was that the WNBA's silence only made things worse. As the controversy grew, so did the media coverage. News outlets picked up the story, and the debate raged on. Some called for Griner to be suspended or fined for her actions, while others defended her, claiming that the issue had been blown out of proportion. But one thing was clear: the WNBA had a problem on its hands. Caitlin Clark wasn't just making accusations without proof. As the story gained momentum, she revealed that she had evidence to back up her claims. According to sources close to Clark, she had game footage, emails, and even witness statements that showed how the league had been covering up misconduct and favoring certain players. Clark had built a paper trail, one that could expose the WNBA for what it really was. And if the league didn't act, Clark was ready to go public with it all. But Clark wasn't just making empty threats. She had a plan. She knew that if she exposed this information, it would send shockwaves through the league. The WNBA's image as a fair and equal league would be shattered. And if the league didn't do something to address the issue, Clark was prepared to take matters into her own hands. The question was, what would happen next? Would the WNBA try to sweep it under the rug once again, or would they finally take action? the tension is rising. The accusations are becoming impossible to ignore, and Caitlin Clark's next move could change the WNBA forever. The next matchup between Clark and Griner won't just be a game, it will be a showdown of epic proportions. With Clark's evidence ready to be revealed, the league is facing a choice. Either they address the allegations head-on, or they risk a scandal that could destroy their carefully constructed image. The WNBA is at a crossroads, and when the truth finally comes out, no one will be left unscathed. The stage is set for a dramatic showdown, and when the truth drops, it's going to shake the WNBA to its core. Stay tuned, because this story is far from over.